Welcome back, everyone. I've got some exciting news. My wife and I moved here in 2004. Anybody that knows downtown Glens Falls has seen remarkable change since 2004. Well, kind of the orphan street, if you will, was South Street. A couple of crazy bars, and you'd find yourself bellying up to those bars. I think I saw you there, by the way.
You might have.
Late night, on the weekends especially. But like with any urban center, especially upstate, it just needs to be revitalized. It needs to be changed. In the City of Glens Falls, they always sort of designated that street as the entertainment district, right, Dan?
Correct.
And but in the true sense of entertainment, what are you going to do with it? Well, joining me today is a familiar face to anybody in our region is Dan Hall, who's the mayor of Glens Falls. Welcome, Dan. Very nice
Hi,
to
Jess.
have you
How
here.
you doing?
Good. Now, before we get into the South Street thing, I got it in my mind that you've been mayor for about a year and a half.
Correct.
Be careful what you wish for. What?
It's been interesting. I kind of knew what I was getting into, but it's been a little more than I thought.
It is. Well, if this project is any indication, boy, that's a labor of love, and it's well worth the effort. I'll tell you.
This is great. We have a good team here in the city, and Ed Bartholomew, which I always mention.
Sure, of course.
He was involved with putting this together and putting us in the running. So we have to give him a lot of thanks for that.
Well, sure, and of course, Ed Bartholomew was a former mayor of Glens Falls as well.
Yes, he was.
During a time when that was kind of a revitalization period, also of a different kind, way back then, right?
Oh,
70s
absolutely.
or something?
He made some big changes here.
Yes.
He did an industrial park. He brought in the Glens Falls transportation system. He did a lot of things. He was involved with the Civic Center and so on. So
Well, he knows his stuff for sure.
he does.
But actually, so do you, my friend, because they've got a revitalization project going on South Street. It's going to be called Market Square. And we have so much that we can talk to about this, but I want to go back to how did this thing get rolling?
So this basically started with the state making a decision to, they have different areas in the state. They have 10 different economic development areas broken up by counties. We're in the Albany County or Albany District, which includes Rensselaer, Albany, Schenectady, Columbia, Greene, also Washington County. And they pick a community. First off, they ask for applications. What's your thoughts? What do you guys need to revitalize your downtown? And they narrowed it down to 3 communities. I believe it was Albany and Troy and Glens Falls. So Judy Collegero, who is the head of our IDA, and Ed Bartholomew did a presentation to the state, and a lot of what they presented was studies that have already been done about Glens Falls. One of them was called the Community Challenge, which talked about it talked about the different things that that a consultant says. You got a nice little town here, but you should do this, or maybe you should use this strength or correct this weakness, and that was part of it. And there was a couple other studies that were involved in that. So we looked really good. We had a nice video. A movie that we showed them that showed us about the downtown and about our city and all the things that were going on. And, we've been considered a walkable city. So I think that was a part of it, too, about what's going on across the country. When they started looking at it and said, yeah, you know what, Glens Falls deserves this.
Mm-hmm. And it's a considerable sum of money and a process. Look, you're talking about a state grant, right? Okay, so you got a lot of hoops to jump through. You got a lot of red tape and all that other stuff. The process, it was narrowed down initially, I think you told me, Dan, right, to 4 winners. But it wasn't just that those 4 winners were established. You had to then go round 2, round 3, round 4, constantly making presentations and constantly fine-tuning proposals, correct?
So what they had is they have a winner from each economic district, and there was 3 of them that were the candidates. And again, Ed had to make a presentation along with Judy to the Economic Development Council. And there was, I think on each Economic Development Council representing the areas, there's like 10 different people. We had a couple people here. Omar Osani was involved, along with Andrew Meter, who were on that. Right. And I think Mr. Hart from Irving Tissue, he was involved. So we had those guys lobbying for us. And of course, there's people from the Albany area that were also involved. So, we were successful, but it was quite a bit of work that Ed and Judy had to do.
Boy, for sure. We're going to fast forward now because just recently this week the presentation was made, and I've had a chance to look at the presentation. It's really pretty remarkable. You're talking about the heart of South Street. And you might remember Sandy's Clam Bar anchors one of the corners. Hot Shots anchored one of the corners. There was an OTB building
Correct.
there. This was all stuff that probably in its day was fine, but it certainly time didn't treat it kindly.
No.
Let's leave it at that. And we also had that one big building. What's that white building called?
So that's called the Incubator Building?
Incubator Building.
Yes, on
and
Elm
that's
Street.
included. So you know that's the heart of downtown. Anybody's gone to the farmer's market in the parking lot there, they'll know exactly what we're talking about here. So this presentation, this plan, is a combination of tearing down some of the eyesores,
Correct.
right, and buildings that have historic significance are going to be restored.
Exactly. So this presentation that we did the other night was mainly about the market, and the other parts will come as we get moving forward on that. So the market, obviously, we're switching from the South Street parking lot over to further down South Street to where the OTB and those buildings that you've mentioned were, and it'll be a multi-use building. We're pretty excited about it. JMZ, which is a local architecture firm, along with the LA group out of Saratoga, helped put that together for a concept. And again, it's a concept. This is what we would like to see. So when we go out with our request for qualifications, we're going to say, this is what we got in mind. You know, don't feel like you have to have it exact, but this is what we'd like to see, something along these lines.
Mm-hmm. You know, I realize, Andrew, we're going to take some photos of this so we can show you what the concept looks like. And the concept is just extraordinary. Market Square will be this, as you were describing, this big open space farmers market. Will go in there numerous times during the week, but it'll be a beautiful community event space as well. A lot of walkways connected to the buildings that will be restored, separate projects, right?
Yes, that's what we're hoping. We're trying to get that whole area, as you had mentioned, you know, where our current farmers market was, where Sandy's was, also the where Kylie Drugs, or Hot Shots as they call it, and the Incubator Building. We'll have close off Elm Street on Saturday mornings, and then we'll have walkways going over to the market. So it'll all be one area that hopefully will be very smooth and working together.
One of the real trends in these revitalization projects is something that Dan mentioned earlier, is this really a move to recognize walkable urban centers. We've seen a lot of remarkable change right here in Glen Street and surrounding streets. A lot of apartments have gone in. You know, Hudson project, the apartment project there.
14 Hudson.
14 Hudson, and what it's doing is it's making this a walkable city that has, with restaurants, and of course the Wood Theater, the Park Theater, and now with South Street coming around, this is going to be really a showcase in upstate New York.
We think so. We really do. We're pretty excited about it. The feedback that we've got, is they can't wait. They love the farmers markets. Farmers markets are hot all across the country. Everybody loves farmers markets. I had mentioned in the presentation, I went to the second largest farmers market in Des Moines, Iowa, and that would have taken up all of downtown Saratoga, all of downtown Glens Falls. It was so big, I couldn't believe it, but it was very impressive. And I've been to quite a few different ones, and it's a great thing to build off of, and hopefully other businesses will get involved, and we'll get little shops that open and stuff. So again, I think it's an exciting opportunity.
Now, there is a proposed timetable for all of this. If this concept stage now goes, will you develop the RFPs from these concepts?
Correct. We will be putting out the RFPs. The timeline right now, Jess, is what we had talked about, is hopefully we'll go to demolition on those buildings that will be demolished within the next 3 to 4 weeks. And then what will happen is we will then go out with the RFQs, request for qualifications, and send those out. We'll review those probably by the end of the year, make our decision earlier next year, and then hopefully start some kind of construction right after that.
Mm-hmm. Now, between the state grant, and you mentioned that you had another grant coming in, do you expect that will cover the cost, or will we have to raise money as well?
No, I think the funding that we got will suffice. I think we'll be good on that, yeah. So again, the state, if there's any kind of grants out there that are going to help us with it, Ed Bartholomew will be all over it. So, we did get a Restore New York grant for $750,000 to add to this, which also was involved with the demolition. So, so he's always looking, and I think if we're a little short or whatever, we'll figure it out.
It's really something to watch the change in downtown Glens Falls. And this street, which is just so instrumental in making that a cohesive, urban, walkable center, is now going to have a complete rebirth. Well, congratulations to you, pal. That's really pretty remarkable work, and you and your team.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And we're going to check back in and see, check on progress, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you for coming.
Oh, you're welcome, Dan. To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.